We have an amazing, once again, speaker lineup. Some of these people I have had the pleasure to know many years, and I've met some recently. But some I just met or learned about through mutual acquaintances or by being a spectator or an attendee on certain shows here on LinkedIn. And they just blew my mind. And knowing that they know those people that host those shows also says a lot. Because I admire so many people on today. So many people do and have their own communities, their shows, books. And if I don't know you, I've also checked out your content, and I'm in awe of all the light and all the goodness that everyone is doing in this room. My first speaker is Steffan. Steffan, I haven't had a chance to speak one-on-one, but I do feel like we have a big connection in the type of content that we are attracted to and the type of content we put out there in the world. I got introduced to Steffan through Tim Sun's work, which Tim is like a whole other show of amazingness. Follow Tim if you don't. But I am so excited to have you here, Steffan. I know you have your own shows. You're a live stream producer as well. You're an award-winning photographer. I mean, you have done such amazing work yourself, and I'd love for you to share your story today and get to know you better. Steffan, it's all yours.
Thank you, Andrea, and everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here on a Saturday morning, and I agree. This is a tough time for many right now. Once again, after 3 years of toughness with the pandemic and now the Ukraine. But first thing I want to start with is sending my thoughts and prayers to the people of Ukraine and this terrible thing that's going on right now that we know of as war. But it's an honor to be here and to share some of my story. And there are many things I could have started talking about, and I could start from way early on, but we have 10 minutes each. I want to respect everybody's time. And I thought about how I wanted to focus this on. And I thought about where I was at the past few years with the pandemic and everything going on in life. And as Andrea said, I come from a background in journalism, and I was laid off from the New York Times in 2009. The reason I'm going to start with that, and I'm not going to go through my entire 10 years after that, is that when I got laid off from the New York Times in 2009, it was brutal. I was let go after a long tenure there, and I was shell-shocked. I had my existence pulled from me as a photo editor and as a photographer, and I had just bought a house, had a kid, got married, all these things, and well, we had been married, sorry, had a kid and bought a house, and it was tough. And anyway, come full circle. A long time later, I've been a social media and visual consultant and a live stream producer now. But when the pandemic hit, that same feeling happened again, because 2 months before the pandemic hit, I lost my client that I had at the time. And all of my income was literally like just pulled right from me right before the pandemic hit. And I felt that same shell shock again. It was like I felt that trauma again. Of losing your security, of losing this, of losing that. Thankfully, my wife was working and everything else, and my kid was older now, and we were able to deal with things a little better, but that feeling was deeply there. So what I wanted to talk to everybody today and inspire everybody with was how I reset and how I came to the ability to get some grounding again, and how I did that. Because like many of us, I'm sure when the pandemic hit, we felt lost. We felt like there was like everything was being pulled out from under us again. A lot of us felt like we've lost control of a lot of things. We were watching so many people going through so much death, so much misery. And it's an attack on our senses in many ways, and especially if we're like a lot of people in this room, probably, where we are empaths in many ways, and we feel the world around us, and we feel so many things deeply when they're going on. Me also being an old news hound, I had to tune a lot of that out after a while, because I realized by watching the news all the time, by listening to all of this all of the time, that it was taking a toll. So the reset for me, and that I want to share with everybody, that helped me little by little, and it took time, was a reset with nature. I find nature to be the great equalizer in being able to help me gain perspective and come and be at peace with a lot of things these days, once again. And I want everybody to think about this deeply, because many of us, I tried meditation for a long time, for different ways and different things. I just could not bring myself to purely meditate the way a lot of other people do. But I found what I developed through my photography and through nature was that by taking my long walks in nature preserves and state parks and other things, and wherever you can find a place to be, and being there in the mornings, or being there at some point in the afternoons or early evening, it gave me the ability to gain that grounding again, and that sense of, and help me recover a lot about myself and the way I like to be, because it's a point. I call it like a walking meditation is what I started to call it. I started to write about it a little. And everything started to come full circle again. And there was a lot of doubting around what I was starting to do, because I wasn't working as much as I'd like to. I was doing a lot of gig economy work. The gig economy work is exhausting and everything. But I was able to take that, and now the projects that I've been working on with my photography and other things help me relaunch a lot of things with what I've been doing as a live stream producer, as a photographer, as all these things. So what I'm going to segue into now is what I did with that. So a lot of people around me, I'm not going to bring a lot of certain things into play here, but there was a lot of negativity around what I was doing, because I wasn't gaining the momentum and the financial ground, the financial means that I needed to right away to make things work. But I knew that if I pursued my passion, if I pursued things with my heart, and I pursued things with my enthusiasm for life, that it would come full circle again. And now all of a sudden it is. So when the pandemic hit, I started a show called the Spin It Social Hour. It was a live stream production where I started interviewing photographers from around the world. Why did I do this? I did with no sponsors, no anything. It wasn't about money. It was about me finding a way and a need to use my skills and my ability as a human being to help others. So I started helping these photographers around the world by letting them tell their stories and showing their work. I did that for 50 straight shows over the pandemic. And then after that, really gained a lot of ground, and a lot of people really loved what I was doing. I needed a break myself. So once again, I reset. What helped me reset? Well, it was nature once again. It was the walks. It was being at peace with things, whether it's standing by a lake early in the morning, photographing the sun setting, whatever it was, doing video of that, soaking it all in, so to speak. Mother Nature heals. That is the bottom line. But I started a new show recently called The Spin It Social Hour. It's a spinoff, though, called Let's Talk Social Media for Social Good. And what I already did with the first show was I brought on a friend of ours, and many of us may know, not many of us in this group, but outside listening may know this person. I brought on my first guest, who was Tim McDonald. Tim McDonald is a stage 4 cancer thriver. He's dealing with colorectal cancer, and he also has liver cancer as well. Okay. And he's in need of a lot of things, but more than anything at the time, he needed love. He needed his friends. He needed the vibe from everybody that he was going to pull through this. But Tim didn't need all of that from the beginning, because Tim is like that. He's a positive person. He always believes in creating ripple effects and helping everybody around him. So I started this new show, and I had him on as my first guest. And that is what I'm going to be doing from this point forward, is bringing on a lot of people who can share great stories of social media for social good, because Tim McDonald, Tim McDonald is somebody who does that. Even while he's going through this, he's sharing his entire story day by day online with the world, what he's going through, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whatever it is, he's sharing this. And he always says, if I can help one person, if I can create one ripple effect with this, then I've done some real good every day in this world. And that's what I'm doing now. And one more step I took recently is I started going online 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and just bringing on people that I can help spread the word about something positive they're doing. I had a woman on the other day, Wendy Black Nasta, who is the founder and executive director for Artists for World Peace. And I had her on, and it was an honor to have her on, because she is doing a drive and does many fundraisers for different things, like a Indian reservation in South Dakota that is in need of eye care for the people on the res and other things. And she's asking for people to donate JPEG files, so then they can auction them off and raise money and put the gift of eyesight, glasses, whatever these kids and people need, on their faces and into their lives, so they can have more normal lives and hopefully do better. So, but my main message here today is that if you haven't found what you need to find some peace in these troubling, turbulent, wild times that we're living in, let's face facts, that sometimes just taking a walk in the forest, taking a walk on trails, taking a walk by a lake, whatever, and just resetting can do immense wonders for you. And I wanted to share that today, because it has helped me so much that if it wasn't for that, I don't know what would have taken place in my mind and body and soul, honestly. So I'll stop there. I think that is what I wanted to share today.
What a beautiful message and reminder, Steffan. Thank you so much. The resetting is certainly key. Quick question for you. You found nature as a way to reset. What made you know that that's the way that you needed to reset? How do people
That's a
realize?
great question. That's a great question. Well, I always have a camera in my hands, mainly my smartphone these days, because they're fully capable of doing, almost capable of doing what many big cameras can do, pro cameras, but not fully. But anyway, I was walking one day. I was just feeling so low. I was feeling horrible. I was having tremendous anxiety, depression, other things. And I wasn't sharing about a lot of this online, but it was hitting me hard and it was tough. But I took a walk one day. Something just clicked. And I said to myself, this feels like I'm meditating. It feels like I'm soaking up what I need to energy wise, whether it was looking at a reflection in a lake, whether it was looking at just the other day, I was lucky enough, I'm blessed enough, I feel, to walk into this place. It was freezing out the other day. My hands, I thought were going to fall off. I'm serious, it was that cold. And I was standing there, and there was this blue heron just standing like 15 feet away from me. Now, if you know anything about birds like that, which I don't, but if you even have been around scenes like that, they will take off the minute they see you. This blue heron just sat there, just stood there on its one leg, two legs, whatever. And and it let me approach it more and more and more. And I was watching it and soaking up its beauty. And the lake was rippling behind it. And I got that all on video. But my whole point is that I'm in a zone when I'm doing it. I'm in another world when I'm doing it. My whole body relaxes. My neck, I have neck issues for years, like many of us have computer and ergonomic issues and everything. I get really bad headaches sometimes, and my neck tenses up, and et cetera, et cetera. When I'm in that zone and I'm amidst Mother Nature and I'm in the outdoors, I don't know if anybody's ever read about it, called forest bathing, but it works. It's true. It's like everything just exits my body and I feel like I'm in another state. There's no medication needed. And I'm not saying that, please, anybody who needs help in certain ways needs to take care of themselves, whichever way is possible. But I'm just saying that what worked for me was being out in the great outdoors and doing that for me. And I do it as much as possible. I don't care how much pressure is built up around me. I don't care what the day is like. I carve out an hour, and sometimes I end up being out for 2 hours, but I find that time early in the morning or some point in the day where I can stop everything, and I do that. So it was just something that clicked one day, Andrea. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we don't know what it's going to be. But thank God and thank the heavens and thank the universe that sometimes it does click. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't. In my case, it did, and it's helped me so much. And there are still good days and bad days with all this anxiety and other things in the world. These are very troubling times. But the more we can help people, and I'll leave one more thing with this since you asked that question, the amount of feedback and positivity that I get from people every day for what I post is so incredible that it fuels my desire to do this more and more. Fuels my desire to do this more and more, to help others. We have to. And I just hope that all of this helps someone, you know?
That's beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I saw your picture of a post yesterday of what you just described. It was indeed very beautiful. Tim, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I just wanted to, say thank you, Steffan, for sharing all of that. Steffan and I are great friends. We especially became even greater friends since the pandemic, among all that's been going on. We met a number of years ago in New York City at a social media event. And I also love taking photography in nature, especially since the pandemic, and going on walks in nature. And I just wanted to shout out Steffan, especially for, with his Spin and Social Hour and his new versions. I think there's something really powerful about creating shows that, that provide that space for people to share their stories, like Steffan does, like you do here, Andrea, like Peter Clarke, who's here, and many others. So I just wanted to, say how much I appreciate that stuff in. And
But I want to return that back to Tim, because Tim has had a tremendous influence on me. Like he said, we call each other BFAM. BFAM stands for brother from another mother, because Tim has so much positivity inside of him, so much light inside of him. And the thing about Tim that I love so much is that he is so genuine. And he's got so much going on around him, 2 kids, so many things going on. My son is a little older, so he's able to do a lot more for himself at 15. But Tim started his own show, his new show recently called Perspectives, showing up perspectives on cancer. And I wanted to give a shout out to him for that, because what I'm doing with the Spin It Social Hour, a huge amount of that energy and that feeling and that pursuit of what I'm going to be doing with it now, after helping the photography community for 2 years to get their stuff out there, was a result a lot of being around people like Tim and being so close to people like Tim, because he made me think. And I took a few months off between the holidays mentally, and really gave it some thought. And that's why I'm redirecting everything in this new path towards helping a new, wider, broader community. So Tim's a tremendous influence on many, and I'm blessed to have him as my brother from another mother in my life.
I feel the same, Steffan.
Tim is amazing. Completely agree. He might be my brother from another mother too, so I'll take that one too. Awesome. Any other comments for Steffan? Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Steffan, sorry, I had to unmute there.
Sure. Can you raise your volume a little? I want to make sure I hear you. Or possibly speak closer to the mic. I just want to make sure I hear you.
How's that?
I'll go ahead. I can hear you a little. I'll listen deeply.
I'm sorry, my
There you go.
there.
Yeah.
We all do it, Bill. We all do it. We all do it.
I just you hit a key thing there, and I think that many people in this, with what Andrea is doing here, will relate. As you got into some of your other initiatives, in the latest one, I think you said that you started down that road and it wasn't about the money.
No.
Now, my daughter's 29, and that's a line I refer to often in the house. And well, she's gone, but it doesn't quite resonate to most 29-year-olds. And but
It doesn't resonate to a 15-year-old in my house either. Trust me.
but when you can honestly take on an initiative because you care, you learn so much, you meet incredible people, and the results, financial or otherwise, will come. I mean, it's a byproduct, and the enjoyment and the passion of doing what is so important to you is so rewarding, and too many people don't allow themselves to go there because how am I going to monetize this?
Right.
And so I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that, because it really is a message and it's a hard pill for many people to swallow, because, listen, we have rent to pay. We have food. I have a kid, 15, who'll be first freshman in high school, whatever, going to college in 3 years, all these things. And there's a lot of just around me, to the pressure, all these things. But I always tell him, the one thing I tell him: do great in school, but find what it is that you love to do. And it may not happen right away. It's just we don't have a magnifying glass. We don't have a crystal ball. I'm going to just say one quick thing. So here's a great book, if anybody, and this is not mine, not selling here. Claiming Your Place at the Fire. It's by Richard Leiter and David Shapiro. Richard Leiter is a friend of mine who introduced me to the power of passion and purpose, along with Emilio Pardo and Christine Whalen, all thought leaders who worked with AARP when I was a social media and visual consultant with them. And I'm still in touch with all these people. But Richard's books, and Emilio and him worked on a lot of this stuff, but Richard's books meant the world to me. What I wanted to just share real quick with everybody here was this one line here where he says, where he's talking about, to claim one's place at the fire means to live one's life on purpose. When we claim our place at the fire, we enter into the circle of vital elders who have been the source of wisdom in society since time began. We do this by courageously re-examining and rediscovering who we are, where we belong, what we care about, what our life's purpose is. We believe that the second half of life offers us unique opportunities for growing whole, not old. That is so true. I read that this morning, and I wanted to read it here just now, because once again, it deals with reset. We can all reset at different points in our life, and we can all reclaim what's important to us, no matter what trauma, no matter what things have been done to us. Now, there are a lot of really heinous and ugly things out there that can happen to people, and I'm not saying this can be for everyone, but for a lot of people. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm none of that. I'm just speaking from my own experience, that we can reset. And so yeah, passion and purpose are huge in my life, Bill, and that is exactly where I was speaking from. So I'm glad it resonates with you.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Steffan. Bill's doing amazing things as well, so make sure and follow Bill too. Matt
Absolutely.
Scene, we have time for one more question. Did you have one or comment?
Yeah, I had a comment, and Andrea, you and I haven't connected in a long time, and it's so funny that Steffan is talking about nature, and that's one of the things that Andrea and I connected on. And I just wanted to say that when I was going through my trauma, I went out in nature every day. I did my ugly cry. I took my problems. I took my struggles, and you can bring it out in nature and you can leave it there because nature is such a great reset. It just shows you there's beauty in everything. In the winter time, the trees surrender because they know that they're going to bloom in the spring. So when you go in nature, you can see life, you can pay attention, you can quiet the mind.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to say that Steffan, your message really resonated with me. And it's such an honor to be with you guys here today to shed your love and your light. I feel it. And I hope we connect outside of this room. Thank you.
No, absolutely. That means so much too. I'm glad that nature has helped you so much that way, because it really is the great equalizer, as I call it. And I'll just one more brief thing, and I'm shutting up because I want other people to speak and I want other people to have their moments and to talk and share their stories. Is that it just what you just said made me think about one more important thing. When we talk about nature, everybody thinks of that beautiful day. Everybody thinks of that sun setting. Well, the other day, it was the total opposite. I was out in the middle of a beautiful day, and all of a sudden my phone lit up message-wise. There was a huge snow squall coming in, and it just came in within 10 minutes. It just, everything around me turned white. I mean, it was crazy and it was scary and everything. And I shared it all, I'll put all my stuff in the thing and you can all see it. But my point is that I was standing in the middle of it all alone. And I got out from under the trees quickly because I didn't want to be under the trees. But man, as it was taking place and then it was over, I felt like I had an outer body experience. It was crazy good and exciting, exhilarating, and it made me feel totally jazzed and renewed. So it doesn't always have to be that sunset, is my point.
Wow.
But be
Wow.
careful out there, please.
Yeah, seriously. Wow. Thank you, Maxine, for the comment. You are truly meant to be here today. Great to see you. Steffan, thank you so much for all your inspiring words.
This time. Thank
I
you.
want to make sure everyone also looks at the chat. There's some great input there as well, and inspiring words. And yes, someone asked if you could please put the book title and author on the chat, Steffan, and call out to some. Gosh, I love all these comments. I wanted to call out. Melody's comment really resonated to me. Life is about making an impact, not an income. Oh, I love that. And then Brad said, I like to call it not just a reset, a mindset change, but a renewed heart set. That's beautiful.
All of those sets.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much, Steffan. Truly
Andrea,
an honor to have you.
what you're doing is fantastic. And I was so thrilled that you reached out to connect with me and be a part of this, because this is all what I want to be a part of from this point on. Because just as that line read, there's always more, there's a second half to life. And I want to take everything that was in the first part of life and I want to make the second half that much better.
Ditto. Well said, Steffan. Thank you so much. We are moving forward. We're moving forward with Daphine. And Miss Daphine I've known for a couple of years, and we met through the Houston Writers Guild, and we still are very much part of that association. And Daphine is just as a kind soul. I connected with her the first time I met with her. She has not only an amazing and very interesting background, having been a parole officer, but she's also an author and continues to write and also lead community events to just empower others. Daphine, I am so grateful you are here.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. And I love the fact that you are true to your word, because last month you asked me to speak, and then a few days later, not long ago, you reached out and ask if you want to be a guest. And so I appreciate that, because so many times people are like, okay, I'm gonna get you on. Just hold on. And if you hold your breath, you're gonna die. Because you'll be waiting for them to you'll be waiting for them to reach out to you, and you don't hear from them. And I'm truly adamant about that, being true to your word. When you say something, make sure you stay true to your word. So many people don't stay true to their word, and that kind of damaged people, because like I said, I was happy that she responded and said, hey, come on and join on, because I've been through people saying, I'm gonna hit you up, I'm gonna have you on my show, and never hear from them. But here is the key to it all. You might want to be on that particular platform, but check it out. God has something bigger in store. Think about it. You might have wanted that platform really bad. It was like, oh my God, but God had something bigger in store. And the reason I say that is because I experienced it myself. I was so anxious to get on this particular radio show, and I will not call the name, but I'm gonna call the name that did call me. But I was just they were saying, we're gonna get you on, and da 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I'm sitting waiting to hear from him after that. Hey, I hadn't forgot about you. And then I hear other people on there. I'm like, well, they didn't ask me. But guess what? As I was waiting, Magic 102 reached out to me. Those of y'all know the local radio station, KMJQ, Magic 102, Public Affairs Podcast. What greater can you get from that? All because I waited and stopped being disappointed about who didn't reach out to me. Because always remember, when it's time for your season, it gets seasoned. Think about it. When it's time for your season, it gets seasoned. And I'm talking with all the flavors of looking at me now, and here I am now, all of those little flavors that you need to have to put you to your next level and put you in the direction of where you need to go. We be thinking we're going one direction, and that's the direction that we want to go. But guess what? God has a better plan. And on the reality side of it, with the atmosphere, with the nature that you guys were speaking on earlier, all of that stuff is real. It's what we speak into the atmosphere. It comes back. And that's why you have to be extremely careful what you say, what you put out there. For instance, oh man, I don't have enough money. I'm just broke like everybody else. What? No, don't say that. Don't say that, because guess what? You just spoke that out there. And guess what? Your behind is going to stay broke. Okay? So think positive things. Think of what you want to do. And here I am, little old me. I'm so humble, Andrea. We're not out there on the TED Talk, but TED Talk's coming to all of us who want TED Talk. I'm one. But anyway, you think about what you put out there and put out there in the universe. I speak life to myself, and so many things that I have gone through. And as I often tell people when I do speak, I grew up in a nice family, and everything was hunky-dory. The only sidebar of that was that I was a preacher's kid. Man, I hated being a preacher's kid. And for those of you who know the denomination, we're Church of God in Christ. This is one of the big organizations. We believe in the Holy Ghost and all of that stuff, but they had strict rules. So when we were growing up, I couldn't wear pants. That was embarrassing. Everybody wear pants. We were following the rule of our church. And so growing up, that was kind of embarrassing. So in order to reinforce and turn the kids from asking, why you wear pants all the time? I would try to act bad in school. Try. But I still had to come back. But with all of that being said, it was a benefit for me now. Look at me now. My mother passed away going on 33 years this coming Wednesday. And I just reflect back. I'll be 60 years old in April, I'm not ashamed to say. But I reflect back on how she was strict, and we couldn't do this and that and the other. And I think back, wow, I'm doing some of the things that mom used to do. But sometimes she was always a community activist type person, and she would go into our freezer and take out meat, and she would go and give to people. And I'm thinking, why mama giving away our food like that? Guess what? I'm the same way. And growing up, I would always say, I'm not going to ever be like my mama. But guess what? Unfortunately, she's not here to see me, but I know she's looking up above, from above. And I'm just like my mama. And I'm so proud to say I'm just like my mama. And what happened to keep me on that path, I wind up having 3 beautiful children that similar to how my mother was, having the same little attributes. Mother loved to cook. My oldest daughter loved to cook. Mother was a singer. My middle daughter is a professional singer. And my mother was a positive person. My son is very positive. So all of those little ingredients have surrounded me with the attributes of my mother. But moving forward, things that we go through, we're thinking is really bad and it's hard and we don't know what to do, and we feel hopeless and we feel like there's no hope. But guess what? There is a rainbow at the end of that tunnel. It's a rainbow at the end of that tunnel. But you have to persevere. You have to stay focused, and you have to keep your mind set on what it is. It might be really, really bad, because baby, if I can tell you, I went through something bad. It was bad for me. You probably thought, well, that ain't nothing compared to what I'm doing. But it was bad for me. That was my struggle. But guess what? I got through it. And as I think about the movie, Coming to America, and I often talk about that. Let me take a sip of water, taking up my 10 minutes. But anyway, I think about the movie Coming to America. On the end, you have the bride and the groom, Eddie Murphy, as you all know. And so the bride came from New York. Now she's in a country where she's the queen or whatever her title was. But the point is that he asked her, he said, now, would you trade all of this to go back to New York? And I'm paraphrasing his words. And she looked around and how the people were celebrating her. She said, nah. And that's how I look back on my life. I look back where I was, and it wasn't bad, but I did have some hard times, as I stated. But I look back and I said, would I want to go back to that or enjoy where I'm at? And I said, nah, I don't want to go back to where it was, and it was hard. But what the struggle did, it built me stronger for this moment. Think about it. When you have a struggle and it's hard and you having a hard time, you be like, oh God, why me? But he's building you up for something stronger. So now you can recognize when something come up, and I tell my children this all the time, when something come up, confusion, distraction come up to take you off your purpose or your path, you have to know that God is getting ready to do something even greater. Think about it. When you have a struggle, you might get off this this Zoom here now, and something go crazy and try to distract you and take your focus off of what we just finished talking about on here. And you say, okay, say, all right, God, I see what you're doing. Get behind me, old devil. I know you're trying to distract me. And it's not all the time the devil, to be sometime us. But when that struggle hit and something come up to try to war with your mind, shift that. Take that negative thought out and say, okay, something good's about to happen. I'm going to brace myself for whatever's coming my way. And if I can tell you what we had going on in our life a few years ago, talking about a brace, I wanted to fall. It was so bad till the point, now I wasn't suicidal, so don't get me wrong. Don't nobody be thinking about suicide. But I just wanted to go to sleep and not wake up. Just sleep on away from all of what was going on with us. But guess what? Because of that, I'm here. I know Andrea. I know Steffan. I know Jim. I know all of you guys now, Peter. Because of that, I'm here. And so I learned to appreciate my trauma. How crazy does that sound? Appreciating your trauma? It could be death of a loved one or whatever the case may be. My mom is dead and gone. And while she was here, I was just trying to dip and dab and do everything. God had a purpose and a plan for my life. And I depended on my mother to help me when things got hard or rough. And God took her away because he knew that I needed this strength to be where I'm at today. So I instill in my children, I'm trying to make sure, because I don't want to die, I'm trying to live to be 100. But I instill in them to enjoy the moment, enjoy life. When things come up, struggles or whatever the case may be, just know that something good is about to happen. So I'll leave that with you guys. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you.
Boom. Wow. Wow, Daphine. You're amazing. I love your energy, and you need to go
Thank
back and
you.
read the comments.
Thank
Very,
you.
very strong and such powerful words. I was taking notes. Appreciate your trauma. I've never heard that, but I love that. Thank you so much, Daphine. You're an inspiration. Comments for Daphine, Maxine?
Yeah, I just want to send the love back to Daphine, that she just exude into my heart. And, mic drop there. Appreciate your trauma. It's like food. We need all types of food for our body. Salty, sugary, astringent, bitter, spicy. Well, life is the same way. And when you take it all together and you own it and you appreciate it, guess what? You have the most amazing dish. All the flavors come together and create some kind of harmony. So well said, sister. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to show up this morning and hear these people. Thank you, Andrea.
That was beautiful, Maxine. I love that. I love that image. David? You're muted, David.
There we go. Damien, how you guys doing? Thank you for the invite, Daphne and Andrea. This is an excellent platform. Oh, I apologize. I'm talking. It was for David. I thought you meant
No,
Damien.
you can speak too, Damien. Go ahead.
Okay.
Welcome.
Just thank you. So just wanted to say again, I appreciate Daphne. I've been enjoying this talk so far. So excuse me for my camera being off. Uh, it was just again amazing opportunity to see what's going on here in this platform. I see Ms. Gambrell and a couple other people that I know on here, and I'll speak quickly. Get right into mine. I was incarcerated for 17 years. I got incarcerated at the age of 16, and I was released at the age of 33. I've been home right at 11 and a half years, and to see the way that the justice, those that fight for justice and those that are in in this battle, often to see what happened from the time I got arrested as a 16-year-old for 4 aggravated robberies that I didn't do, and one burglary of a habitation that I did. A guy jumped on my brother and I retaliated against him and his family. To see what's going on now and the support that we have for those that are going through the justice system, the communities, and their families is amazing and inspiring to me. So my incarceration story is I was incarcerated for 17 years, but I currently work for the Harris County Public Defender's Office. I was hired by Anthony Graves, who is an exoneree 138 from death row. And I went through his speakers bureau at TSU. And I was a former Toastmaster. I went to Toastmasters in prison, so I had no problem speaking, but I had problems telling my justice story because I was embarrassed because I went through the system. Not that I was guilty. I was embarrassed because I was guilty because I wasn't guilty. I was embarrassed because I went through the justice system. And probably 5 years after being out, I never told my story. People didn't know, the people that hired me knew, but I never told my story until when I graduated from the University of Houston with a degree in broadcast journalism, and I was on radio and they were saying, you need to talk about it. And I ended up having a show on KCOH, which is the second oldest African-American radio station in America. And I had a show on a couple of shows, and then I started producing shows, and I was able to intern at ESPN radio and just express myself. And when I got with Anthony, it was the ACLU, TSU, and the Anthony Graves Foundation. And we went to the Anthony Graves Speakers Bureau, where I became a Craig Washington Scholar and got congressional recognition for the work that I did in the community. that I was able to speak about my incarceration story. And I think for me, that not only assisted me in starting to say I can do more than sell cars, because I was selling cars. I can do more than wait tables. I can do more than work for H&R Block. I was hired by a nonprofit, SARE Jobs in Houston, which is about probably the second or third largest workforce development agency in Houston, and I was the outreach coordinator. And I, in a sense, helped bring SARE back to life because of the connections that I had in the community. And I understood that when you recruit for a banking class or a GED class, that no matter what, they're going to ask you if you can help somebody that was formerly incarcerated, because that mother that was going to that banking class, or that daughter or son that was going to the GED class, their mother or father probably had been incarcerated, and they wanted to help them. So I was able to express to not only the agency that I work for, but other agencies, man, we can recruit in this incarceration field, because it's not about incarceration, it's about the justice impacted community. And I was able to kind of open other people's eyes like you guys are doing. And from the time of 1993, when I got arrested, to 2010, when I was released, those things were developing. But from 2010 until 2022 right now, those things are actually beginning to bear fruit. And that's what's amazing for me, to be able to see it, to go from a 16-year-old kid, which I got 125 years. I got 5 25-year sentences run concurrent, and they were looking to put me away for about 100 years. And doing the 17 years and being out parole and voting, that's very important. I feel like a citizen again to be able to vote. To see what's happening now is amazing, because I do it, but just like Anthony Graves inspired me, when I say the guys and girls that I grew up with, the guys and girls that I was in prison and got certified, I was certified as an adult. I'm one that was the super predator. To be able to, for me to post on my Instagram that I'll be the keynote speaker with Daphne at the Circles of Excellence, it inspires those that are still kind of in their mess, or those that didn't get a college degree like I did while I was in prison and came home and got another college degree. It inspires those individuals. So the work that you're doing, giving platforms to individuals like me, and I always say it never has to be me. In your local community, there are a bunch of me's, and there are a lot of me's that have better stories, that they've overcome a lot more than I've overcome. But what matters is that you allow these individuals to have a light, to shine a light on your platform. And that's what Daphne did. Marilyn Gambrell has done those things. Anthony Graves, the Public Defender's Office, and countless other organizations. So I was listening about the nature. As I wrap up, I'm going to turn my camera, because one of my visions when I was in prison was to purchase a house in 5 years. Well, I could have purchased it in 4, but I purchased in 4.5, and I had to sell that house. I got married, got a divorce. Relationships are one of the biggest things from those individuals that come out of prison. It's one of the biggest things that we have trouble with overcoming, because our relationships are about survival. We have to survive. We have to fight. We have to teach each other lessons, because the streets in prison is about survival of the fittest. You're either predator or prey. And I'm always going to be a predator, because I can't be prey. That's what the streets and that's what prison is. But going back to the nature thing, I was able to recently get married. I met my wife in July. We've been married for 3 months now, and it's been amazing. And I was able to purchase my second house with my wife. And that nature thing that I apologize, but I don't remember your name right now. But that nature thing is amazing, because now I want to turn it. Maybe you guys can see it, but now this is my nature. Like I get to not only come home but wake up to this. My daughter gets to see this, and the individuals that know me and know where I come from, and I'm one that comes from under the barrel, not the bottom of the barrel. I come from a couple barrels under the top barrel. And those that know me and have seen my story and walked with me since I was a kid have supported me greatly. an amazing support. So when stuff like this happens for people like me, it says that, man, no matter how far you're down under the barrel, that you're able to come back. So again, I thank you guys for this opportunity. Thank you, Daphne, for the invite. And I'm here. And like I told Daphne, I'm in a position where I just started my first nonprofit. I just did my first conference. I want to do more because there are more individuals like me. And if I'm the torch bearer, best believe I can pass that torch on to a lot of other people, because a lot of people have passed it on to me. So again, thank you guys for the platform.
Wow, Damien, you are such full of light. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I do want to let you know of one thing that I caught you saying is, my story may not be as big or as this or as that. Your story is as important as everyone else's. We each have a unique story to own and to share, because you never know who needs to hear just your story. So I want to make sure that you know how important it is for you to show up today. Thank you so much. I think, David, I think you had a comment,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there, technical gremlins. I mean, it's really great talking. It's just good hearing Daphne and all the speakers so far. And, you know, two things I'm reminded of here. The first, I suppose, is there's two phrases. I think the first one is, whatever happens to you, it can either make you better or it can make you bitter. And in simple terms, things come into your life, you can hold on to them or you can't. And the second thing I was thinking of was just a phrase from I can't remember it verbatim, from the late great rapper Nipsey Hussle, where he says, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what you're into, I feel like you've got something to contribute. That's from Face the World. And it's true. Everyone has merit. Everyone has value. You know, people are just, we're here, we're humans. Everyone's got something to learn from somebody, even those who are, you know, who want to be your greatest enemy. They still can bring positivity to you, because their fire feeds you and it makes you better. That's all I've got to say on that.
Thank you so much, David. Love those words. So we are going to move on. Gosh, such a powerful start. Thank you so much so far, all the speakers. We're going to move on with, everyone here is very special. Peter is our next speaker, and he completely blows me away, not only because of the tremendous work he has done over the years just to help humanity in general. He has one of the biggest hearts I have ever had the pleasure to know. But he always says, from what I've heard, he always denies or doesn't want to go on other people's shows because he always puts the spotlight on others. And this is the first show he said yes to. And this is the first time he is going to share his story as a guest on a show, because he does such an amazing job being a host to all of us and giving all of us a platform. If you don't follow Peter, you are completely missing out. Peter has Red TV. He has Humanitarian Channel. He's amazing. And I am so deeply honored to have you here, Peter.
That was so unrequired, not required. That beautiful, those beautiful words, unbelievable. I have to turn on my host mode right now because I'm super emotional today. Always am. So I got to stay like this because I'm just an emotional person. So to your point, Andrea. So first of all, everybody, nice to meet you all. It's just a privilege to be here. I appreciate that. I'm super uncomfortable with being a guest. I don't like it. It's just that it's my nature. It's actually something I actually have embraced. I'm good with that. And it's also it's a lesson I need to learn. And I hope everyone hears this when I'm saying it the way I'm saying it, is that your story is important, and we just heard one. We heard them all. I mean, everybody here is somebody's voice that needs to be heard. My job in the world is to amplify other people's voices. That's what I'm supposed to do, and so I take great pride in that. And but I also realized that I've lived long enough and I've done enough things that perhaps some of the things that I've experienced will help somebody else. And it's quite, I need to become more aware. I'm speaking from the eye for everybody here. I need to become more aware that as passionate as I feel that other people's voices need to be heard, I guess in some way, sometimes mine needs to be added there as well. So I just want to say that. Thank you, Andrew, for having me. And there's so many things I could talk about right now. I'll try to get them out as quickly as I can here, because I know you're behind on your show. I know that I'm a producer. I know you're behind on your show. I got to keep moving along. First of all, yes, empathic. I either have been cursed or blessed with an incredible amount of empathy. And tough week, everybody. Tough week. Tough week to watch. So it's been very difficult. Yeah, it's been difficult. So let's hold on. I'll get there. Very, very difficult to watch around the world. So, but I also realize, and I realize that, and I say this a lot. I hope this really resonates with somebody here. You know, we seem to not be so concerned about things unless they're on our doorstep. And there's something incredibly powerful when you can imagine yourself in someone else's position. In my life, I don't recommend this, by the way. I don't recommend what I'm going to say. In my life, when I see anything, news, a story, I read something, I always say, what if that was me? It's the first default question I have in my head. Don't recommend it, by the way, because it's hard to carry it around in your heart. It really is. But I ask that question myself, and this is why these kinds of things that are happening in the world right now, but on a daily basis, I personally feel affected by it, because when something happens right in front of my house, I don't feel any more connected to it than if I watch something that's completely on the other side of the globe. And so when I think of a child in a camp, for example, it doesn't have to be here in my town. It's an overwhelming thought. And
It's okay, Peter. It's okay. You got this.
We're with you.
this is why I don't be a guest.
No, this is why
This is
you need to
why
be
I
a
don't like
guest.
being a guest. So just hold that space for people if you can. Hold that space if you can. Now, what I do want to talk about. So let me keep moving on here. Andrea talked about my heart. I recently had a heart event. I still can't seem to say the words of what the doctors have told me. But I've had an event where I don't know if Andrea, if you can share that picture or not. If you can, it's okay. I sent you a picture because I didn't want to play with the screen here, sharing. Long story short, everybody, long story short is I had an event where basically I had a 99% blockage in my main artery, and came out of nowhere, came literally out of nowhere. As you, I don't, I have a little COVID weight on me, but I don't carry a lot of weight. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't, all of the things. I don't eat fast food, all the things that I don't smoke, all the list of the things that you would think that would show up for this, the markers weren't there. So I felt literally like I was walking through a very peaceful, my metaphor is, or it is like I'm walking through this peaceful forest, and then I get hit by a train, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, I didn't even know there was tracks here. I didn't even know that this is a possibility. So when this happened, it's quite overwhelming, and it's quite shocking, and at the same time, you're super grateful for the people that were able to help you and save you and all those things. So I send that my deepest empathy and gratitude to everybody who works on the front line around the world, who are helping people literally save lives, literally. So bless those people. So the physical part you can get through. I think most everyone has a story of people that have gotten through some physical challenge. But the psychological part is something that I still struggle with. I should say that I don't mind sharing that, but I'm still not used to this idea that it might help somebody, or for me to be sharing it. But I need to share it because when I'm carrying myself in a public manner, it's probably not as obvious that I would carry that around. And I think that's a great metaphor for us all to remember, is that you don't know anyone's story. You have no idea. You think you do, and that comforts you, because then you can put things into categories and it makes you feel more connected to the things around you and more in control. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But you don't know. And you don't know if you have 4 minutes left or 40 years left. It's nice to think of 40 years, but it comforts you. And I understand that. However, from a psychological perspective, it's really important for us to harness that awareness, embrace that awareness that every single person you're looking at has a story that would rock your world. And they're coming through your experience right now, through their masks, through the filters, through their upbringing, all of those things. And so that's where this empathy, compassion, kindness really needs to come to the forefront of our consciousness, not our subconscious. But we know we're connected, but we have to be consciously aware that we don't know what this story is. And so the point of me sharing this is that it came out of nowhere. So I really, really recommend everybody here very quickly is that stress, anxiety has played a role in this for me. It wasn't smoking. It wasn't, all the other factors. There's a genetic factor that I found out recently, and I know stress and anxiety. And I know that it's probably not the way I carry myself when I'm doing my own interviews and I do things with other people, because I always feel that that's not my place in the world. My place in the world is not to talk about, things that are probably keeping me in another place. I want to be a vehicle for other people to amplify and rise. So I need to be a certain way. That's how I am. I just think it's important that we remember that. And we're having these conversations now and be very insightful in an amount of compassion that we can carry for people. And I'll leave it there because I can go on about that subject a lot. So please go, if you're feeling stress, anxiety, all these things, please talk to somebody. Please reach out to your family members. Reach out to the strong ones. Reach out to the strong ones, because I'm telling you, they'll never tell you. They'll never tell you. And hold space for them to have a conversation, and make sure that you can play a role in their healing, and play a role in allowing them to find space where they can maybe share some things that they're probably not comfortable doing, like I'm doing with you today. So, so Andrew, yeah, you can take that down. That's okay. I don't want to scare people with all these stats, but bottom line is a couple stents in my heart. Now I'm feeling better physically. Mentally, I'm not there yet. So I just wanted to share that because, you know, Andrea, I know that your platform here is really about, you know, trying to make someone feel like they are not alone. And I'm hoping that one person might hear this and think, wow, that guy, and I don't know what they're thinking about me, but I'm just thinking, wow, look at that guy. He seems like he has a lot of life, but underneath, just like you, exactly like you, probably even not as good. I promise you that. So it's important to hear, and I live it every day, and sharing it here is maybe a first step forward for me in being more open about it. The other thing I want to do, Andrea, right now is because, and this is going to seem crazy to you guys because I don't do this very often, but music is really important to me. Music is a very powerful energy in the world. It's just a super powerful energy. We all know this. I mean, you can hear a song and it can take you back to a smell. I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about. You can literally be in that room. You can be with that person. You can be in that environment, whether it's a wedding or sadly a funeral, or maybe it's just a fun moment in your summer or your youth or something. Music connects us in a really amazing way. And what I find about music too is that it just has a sense of wonderment, wandering, like wander, and then also wonderment. It just allows your brain to kind of connect with people in a different way. That's what I love about it. I've traveled enough around the world, generally speaking, that when I have a guitar with me, I mean, it's an amazing way to make friends. You instantly cross barriers, language, of culture, time, everything. And so this week has been really tough, and I know it's interesting. Jim is over in India right now, which is fantastic. He's over in Mumbai, and it's so strange, Jim. I'll just share this with you that it's kind of hard to explain, but my guitar is tuned in a certain way that I was playing it just this morning, just to kind of get my mind opened up a little bit, and all these really mystical sounds that reminded me of India came out of this guitar. That's what, again, just took me on my own journey. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't trying to play anything because I don't play that well. So I was just strumming it, and it was just making all these things, these beautiful sounds. And that's what I love about music, is that it comes through you as the person. You don't even know where it comes from sometimes. And that's what's so amazing about it. So I want to share that sound with you really quick so that we can move on and keep going and rocking and rolling. I'm just gonna play this a little bit. I'm also gonna do this because I might go into something else really quickly here, but let me just change something for you. Hold on. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear that now? It's pretty cool technology, isn't it? It is awesome. Life is good that way. I love that. So I'm just going to let it, I don't know what this is. I'm just telling you straight out. I'm just going to let the sounds, and then if I go into another song, then you'll know what that song is. But the reason why I wanted to move into, to share this with you is because, again, music might speak to somebody differently than if you just constantly listen to someone speak like myself. And maybe there's something that you'll hear in here that you're supposed to hear right now. And that's the whole purpose of it for me. There's no other reason to do it. I can play guitar for myself anytime I want, but to give it to somebody else makes my heart feel better. So I hope that resonates with you.
I'm not afraid of anything in this world. There's nothing that you can throw at me I haven't already heard. I'm just trying to find a decent melody, a song that I can sing in my own company. And you are such a fool to worry like you do. You gotta stand up straight, you gotta carry your own weight. These tears are going nowhere, baby. You've got to get yourself together now. You're stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. Don't say that later will be better. Now you're stuck in a moment and you can't get out of it. And if the night gets older, and if the day won't last, and if your way should falter along this stony path, it's just a moment, this time shall pass.
There you go, everybody. A little U2 to finish out the day there. Stuck in a moment. I felt like I've been stuck in a moment. You might be feeling stuck in a moment. And I hope that resonates with somebody and connects to your heart the way it does with me. So thank you, Andrea. That's way too much time for me. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Cheers.
Yeah, unbelievable, Peter. Unbelievable. And the fact that you also played your music, I wanted to actually ask you, but I'm like, no, he has way too much going on. That means so much.
You see
And it's you're a rock star in so many senses of that word. Thank you so much. This is truly a gift for you to be here and share your story and share your music and share your words and share your passion, just sharing you. And I caught you saying that you're, what did you just say that I wrote down?
You,
Like,
you probably caught me saying a lot of silly
you,
things.
yeah, like you're
as a
not
guest,
that great at music. What? You're amazing. You're amazing. If I ever have, everyone's hearing this, if I ever have a worthy rally event in person, you're going to be my headlining singer, my headlining performer.
I'm going to guess that there's a lot more talented people that we
No,
can
there isn't.
I will. Trust me. We'll find.
I want you.
We'll find
I think
somebody.
you're very talented and you fit.
I appreciate
you fit
that.
very nicely.
Thank you.
Gosh, any comments for Peter? I think I saw Steffan first.
Oh, Peter, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your talent and your just amazing presence. So you need to be a guest more often, my friend. I know, I understand. Trust me. But the one thing I wanted to say earlier about your story about what you've been dealing with health-wise and everything, first of all, I'm so thankful and happy to hear that you're on the road to recovery. Stay healthy. But what you said is really important, because people look at people who are skinny, people who look at people who are whatever, and even ourselves, and we fool ourselves thinking that, you know, everything's fine all the time. And we really do need to take care of ourselves, and we need to always check out little things that we may be feeling here and there. I recently had a quick episode. I'm just saying that people, please get yourselves checked for different things when you feel things, no matter what anybody says. Oh, yeah, you know, whatever, it's gas, or you've got this, or you've got that, or whatever. I had a constant knot in my midsection, right under my rib cage, and I couldn't figure out what it was recently. So in December, after my friend Tim McDonald, who I spoke about, and several of my friends, it's been crazy, have dealt with cancer, stage 3 and 4. I was worried, because you start worrying, God, am I next? You know, but I went to have it checked, and it turns out, thank God, nothing, it was there. It's from GERD, which a lot of people have. But in terms, I found out I have a hiatal hernia, and that's where the pain was coming from. So it's not a big thing, but I need to be aware of it. I need to take care of it. But my message is what your message is I think is along the same path, is that don't take things for granted. Go get checked. Make sure you check the little things, because little things sometimes can be nothing, or they could be something. Don't, just because you're skinny, because you're whatever, don't take any of that for granted. Skinny people get sick too. So, you know, and people that have a lot of energy get sick too. So take care of yourselves and check things out. Checking ourselves out is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to add, I just want to thank you for those kind words. Appreciate that. Yeah, the message really, and I'll emphasize it again, is that stress, I'll just say it again, stress and anxiety can play an incredibly powerful role in your physicality, not just your mental health, obviously, and your emotional health and so on. Obviously, that plays a significant, takes a toll on you. But I really didn't understand. I mean, you read it. I mean, we're conscious of it. But the idea that it could, you know, of course, it's always others. That's somebody else. That's not me. I mean, that's how the world works. Is, oh, that's them. You know, again, we're not worried about our water not running until it's cut off. And then when it's cut off, you're like, wow, this is a real problem. And again, it's on your front doorstep. So again, checking, like you said, out little things in your physicality and connecting it to what's happening in your mind. You know, the biggest, you know, that's the longest journey, right? We all know this story. I mean, it's from here to here. I mean, that 13 inches between your brain and your heart, that's your life journey. And the idea that the heart came first. I mean, let's remember that. I mean, the first thing that happens, you know, when you become a spark is that this heart thing starts pumping. So it's so important to recognize these things. So I just want to emphasize what to your point, to your message, go check things out, have conversations with people, check in on people. And again, recognize that stress, anxiety, and the things that especially what we're experiencing today, but even over the last 2 years, specifically with the pandemic, and for other things that are to come, everybody. I mean, certainly we know that every day we're waking up to the next normal, not a new, it's the next normal. So when we start feeling the world come back together, that's going to be our next normal. And then something else shows up, as it did this week and next week. And so we have to remember that we can play a role in helping the world heal by healing ourselves. And I know that I can't be sick enough to help someone who's sick. I mean, these are Wayne Dyer's words. I mean, I can't be rich enough. I can't be poor enough to help the poor. You can't give what you don't have. So for me to want to amplify others and bring their essence, I have to have that in me. So anyway, please make sure you hear that message, that there's a psychological part that plays a role with your physicality. And I hope that resonates with the people around you. If you don't feel it for you, recognize it in your family members, recognize it in your friends, and make sure that you're there to support them to get the help that they need. So thank you for those messages. I appreciate it.
Well said, Peter. And thank you, Steffan. We have time for 2 more, Tim and Melody, and then we'll move to our next speaker. Tim?
Thank you, Andrea. First of all, Peter, Clarke, thank you for sharing that song. Something happened pretty significantly in my life this morning, and that song completely resonated. So I appreciate you sharing the song. We first met through Brian Shulman's shows, and you always have a message, and you always have a song that resonates, even if you don't know what's going on. There's usually somebody, especially on Brian Shulman's shows, that that song resonates with somebody who's there, even if you don't know what's, if they don't say out loud what's going on. So I always appreciate your heart and your message and your music. And I just wanted to share on the, I think it was the 3rd episode of the show that me and Kara do, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. Kara was just about done sharing her perspective on cancer, and Peter Clarke sent me a message. He said, hey, could I come on your show? And I didn't realize at first that he meant like right now. And so we said, sure, it's Peter Clarke, right? You can't say no to Peter Clarke. So he came on the show, and he had just got off the phone with, I think it was his spouse, and his spouse had cancer and was in Trinidad, I believe. And he couldn't be there, and he just came on. I think he just needed to, he saw a notification, and Peter, you can correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. I think he just needed somebody to talk to. So I just wanted to share that story, just in terms of, I know he's not comfortable being a guest on shows, and just appreciated him, showing up to share his heart and what was on his heart and his mind, as he was thinking about his loved ones.
Thanks for mentioning that, Tim. Yeah, great work on what you're doing right now, having conversations about cancer. Cancer has affected my life, not again in my physical body yet, thank God.
Yeah.
But my dad has experienced it, is experiencing it. My wife's dad is experiencing it. I lost my brother-in-law to it in the last year, and that experience, for example, triggered my sister, who has tremendous mental health issues now. So again, everything is so connected and so relevant to every conversation. You can't throw a fridge far enough to hit somebody that has been affected by these terrible things. And the most important message is that, again, finding a place where you can actually feel heard and someone holding space for you is so important. So I applaud you for what you're doing with stories about people who are thriving from surviving cancer and being a very positive amplifier for them. So great work on that, and thank you for having me that day. As like I said, I don't pop onto those things very often. They're just
I know you don't.
That's not my deal. I don't like, but I really recognize when someone's doing good work. I want to make sure that I say that. And so anyway, thank you for all those things. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the space that you provide with your shows for people to share their stories as well.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Andrea.
Woody.
Thanks, Peter, for being able to get out of your comfort zone and share your light with everyone, because you really are a bright light. I know how hard it is to get out of your comfort zone. You were there for me when I did, and it was scary. And you do have a bright light to share, and you will help others. And I think your music is what will help feed your soul and help you heal. So keep sharing your light, because it's important. It's really important. And I thank you for being one of the gifts today of sharing your music and sharing your light. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Yeah, listen, how the world just goes in a big full circle. Melody and I met on a previous program where Melody does tremendous work with PTSD and a person who's experienced it herself, tremendous trauma in her life, and yet has the strength to tell these stories. And the very first time she decided to do that in front of a camera, I just happened to be in that space at that time to help her kind of get and it was just an amazing, it was just amazing to be part of that. You were literally, and this is, I don't mean any disrespect by this, because I can feel my heart pumping in my chest as well. Like, she was literally breathing into a bag. She was hyperventilating, and she was like, I'm so nervous. And we just chatted, and we had a great conversation. And then she found the strength to pull it out. And so proud of her for doing that. And everyone obviously benefits from it now, Melody. So thank you. You're always a great supporter of everything that that I've been doing as well. So I thank you for that. And I can never get enough of that Massachusetts accent. You know that.
I love hearing those stories. Thank you so much, Melody. Before we're going to go to the next speakers because we got to move forward, but I just want to reiterate this fact. Show a heart on your screen right now, or a clap, or a heart like this, if what Peter shared today was of value to you and it made a difference in how you're moving forward with your life. So Peter, I'll let you soak that in, but it is pretty much safe to assume that your story needs to continually be shared. So I hope this is not the first and last show that you share it. You're making an impact.
And I just wanted to say Peter's acoustic play at the beginning brought me back to my childhood at first when he first started playing, and then afterwards there are sounds, and it took me right to India.
Yes.
I know.
Exactly.
I found that. I thought it was magical that Jim is joining us from Mumbai. So it was just strange. They just came out, and this is what I love about music. I'm really happy to hear it resonated with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. You're a gem. And great transition, by the way. He wouldn't even plan that. He mentioned Jim, and Jim is next. So Jim Lippens, another person, an incredible soul I have yet to speak one-on-one with, but coincidentally, I heard of him and of his content and got introduced to him through Peter Clarke's show. And I've been also looking at his work behind the scenes, and he does tremendous work around happiness. In fact, he's the founder of the Happiness at Work conference and movement. And I had to write this down because it's incredible. His mission is to help 10 million people find their way in balance and success for the world. Amazing, amazing. And I couldn't think of a better individual to invite here today. Jim, I can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm not the Indian expert. Sushma is here also in the room. She's the Indian expert. So I'm just here for the third time in 6 months. So if you have questions about the music, please ask Sushma later on. Now, yeah, this week, of course, I came here in India. The war in Ukraine started. Now, I read today in the newspaper that the Belgian government was even watching like what is Putin doing. Because we are even in Belgium, we are even in the reach of Putin, and we are, of course, supporting Ukraine. So you never know with that kind of person what they are doing. Now, the whole Ukraine war thing relates, in fact, like with my personal story. And my personal story, it's now 10 years ago. And I still remember the day that I worked in a production environment for 22 years. And my boss came into my office. Now, it was a warm day. I was really like in a relaxed environment. When you open the windows, you could hear the frogs making noise. There was a fountain. You could hear the water of it. So I was really in a relaxed environment. And my boss came to me and he asked me if I wanted to become a plant manager. A plant manager of a department of 108 people. Now, that time, I just had one direct report. He helped me to do improvement projects in all the different departments of the plant. Now, the department where he asked me to become plant manager, that department was known for violence, for robbery, for drugs, for safety accidents, for fights, for whatever could go wrong happened there. So and he asked me if I wanted to become plant manager of that department. So going from one direct report to 108. And he gave me 2 days to think about it. Now, he was a guy like a little bit, you can compare him a little bit like with Putin. If he had something in his mind, he just went for it, and without any interference of others. Now, I was thinking about it, and then something inside me told me like, yeah, you have to do it. You just have to do it. So after one day, not after 2 days, after one day, I went in his office and I told him, okay, I'm your man. I will do it. So I will lead that department. So he told me, okay, nice, very nice to hear. You come in my office on Monday. I will give you your first task on Monday. So on Monday, I go in his office, 8 o'clock in the morning. I go there, and he showed me like a paper, like he just took a paper like, here's a list of 27 people. These people, that's your first task. You fire these 27 people. So without any warning in advance, he told me like, these are the 27 you fired today, and the other part of the 108, you will fire them within 3 months. So yeah, I was of course shocked that he didn't warn me, and I was thinking about, yeah, what effect will this have on the people on the shop floor? So I went into that department, and these people, they were lining up, and I got the first flashback, and that was a flashback. I don't know if you saw the film Schindler's List, where like all the Jewish people line up to come and to see if they are on the list to just go on the train and be just taken to the camps. And so these people came to me, and the moment that the first person, I did not know their names. I knew 2 people, and they were really skilled operators. Now the moment they came to me, and the first operator was on that list, he even could not believe he was on the list. That guy worked for 30 years in that department. He lived 100 meters from the plant, so one minute walk from the plant. His whole life was in the plant. Now he was on the list. So the moment that I explained to that guy, like, okay, guy, it's over for you. You saw the fear in the eyes of the other operators who were lining up. You saw just the fear coming up in in their eyes. Like, I have a student going to university. I have a house to pay. So I felt like that fear. Now that moment I felt the fear in these people's eyes, I got a flashback to my youth, and I remembered a moment. My father was a doctor. When I was 6 years old, my father came home and he started beating up my mom. And I saw that when I was 6. And I went down and I came in between them. So, okay, my father stopped. But the day after, he came to me and he told me, I will show you, if I decide something, you stay away from my decision. And he started beating me up, and he told me, I will remember you of that decision you took to interfere for the rest of your life. And from that day, every day he came to me to beat me up, to remind me, I decide and you stay calm. So I became like completely introvert, like even autistic. And it took like 7 years. And that day, so he started beating up, and it became worse and worse and worse. So one day he kicked me so hard that he broke me 2 ribs. I started throwing up blood. Now, he was a doctor. My brother was watching. He called my mom. They were divorced. He called my mom. Yeah, now he's killing him. Now, I was so immune to the beatings that I just stood up. I took the blood out of my mouth and I went to my bike and I drove home. Now, that moment on my bike, that moment I was thinking, later on, I will do something for the world. I will take action to people who abuse their position, who abuse their power, they abuse their physical strength to just do harm to the less powerful people. Now, the moment I was in front of these operators, I got that flashback to that moment I was on my bike. And I knew this is the moment. Now I know why I'm here. I have to save these people, because when I don't do that, they are all just kicked out without any protection. So I started working day and night for these people. In the end, I could save all these people's lives by just working together with them, by getting the best out of them. They started like inventing their own products. They started bringing profit. That department made a loss since 30 years. From the first month I started working with them, they started to make profit. So they became the best version of themselves. And that was what gave me joy. Like when I saw these people blossoming and getting the best out of themselves, that was what kept me going. Now, after 4.5 years, they were all saved. And then my boss came to me and he told me, you did not do what I asked you. Even that department was giving him millions during these 4.5 years. He told me, yeah, they are all saved, but you are not saved. And he fired me. So he fired me. So all the 108 people, like they were like safe, and I was fired. So I was thinking, okay, no problem. I go to court. So I went to court. And after 2 years, the case came in court and I lost. So the judge, which was seated in the same city as where the company was, he just approved with what the company did. And then their lawyer called me and they told me, like, if you dare to go in appeal, we just break you financially. We take the most expensive lawyer of the country to support us, and we just break you financially. I told them, I'm not impressed, because I knew what happened in my youth, so nothing could break me. So I told them, you can try whatever you want, but justice will happen. I went in appeal. So it took me another 2.5 years to go to court again. Now, in the meantime, I worked for another company. And in that company, after 2 years, I went to that CEO and I told him, you did not do what you promised. I earned like a lot of money. I was like in the golden cage. I could stay there for the rest of my life. When I would have worked there 5 years, I would have been financially stable for the rest of my life. But what I was missing was the moment that every day I came out of my bed to save these people's jobs. So that purpose, to see these people blossoming, I was missing that there. So after 2 years, I went to that CEO. Here is the key of my car. Here is that you can get everything back. I'm out. And 2 months later, the court case was there. And the moment I saw the face of the judge, I knew now I will win. And after 4.5 years in total, I won that court case. And that moment I decided, yeah, now I will organize the Happiness at Work conference. So the Happiness at Work conference is born, just to show the outside world, like, guys, you can do it in another way, like just working together with your employees and just, yeah, trusting them, getting the best out of them. That is like a win-win situation, and not the old situation, let's call it the Putin situation, being a dictator, top down, telling people what they have to do. So now it's the 3rd edition that we are organizing the Happiness at Work conference. In the meantime, it's the biggest Happiness at Work conference of Europe. I have the goal to make it the biggest of the world. So I hope by 2025 to have 15,000 people in person in a venue. The main thing is, for me, I don't have kids, and I always wanted a daughter. And my goal is, yeah, to reach 10 million people. That was my initial goal, to reach 10 million people, to find themselves, to find the strength in themselves, because you always have the choice. Will I be a victim, or will I get stronger out of this situation? It's not really a choice. I think it's, yeah, partly it's like how you are born. But then I was thinking, like, reaching 10 million people, it's like a little bit, it's too vague. And then I decided, okay, I will put it in money. That is the language everybody understands. So my promise to myself is that after giving my whole life to this, because I will spend like my whole life to this this mission, happiness at work. After in 2035, I promised myself that I will give all the money, and I hope to have by then 10 million euro of income gathered by happiness at work. I will give all the money to charity of a project for children, and that is my promise to myself and to the world.
Wow. Wow. Count us in. We are there to support you, Jim. Amazing, amazing background, powerful. Thank you for sharing that and for being here. It's an honor to have you here. Would love to learn more about your work, and we'll definitely check it out. I want to hold your questions if you don't mind. I want to give Mary Ann the chance to speak. And then whoever can stick around, feel free and ask your questions. But Mary Ann is a lovely, lovely person, a very, very solid leader. I've known her for a couple of years. We met through the Houston Writers Guild as well. But she does amazing work on her own as far as recruitment efforts. She's an expert in that area, but also has a lot of content and books that inspire and empower others to really push away those inner critics and demons and be their best selves. So Mary Ann, I am so excited you're here.
Well, Andrea, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. And I feel that me being here is, and the last person to speak is almost divine intervention. I feel that Jim and Daphne and Peter and Tim, all of your stories I so could relate to. I am an executive recruiter. I do have I'm a nationally syndicated columnist for the U.S. Daily Times and the Post. I have a podcast show called Career Can Do, and I also am on the National Price of Business show. And my mission is all to help people become their best self. And it's very interesting that I'm the last speaker, because so much of what I heard today is part of my story too. I know when Peter spoke about his heart situation, it really hit home, because the reason I decided to write my first book is because my sweet husband was in the wrong job. And one day at 47 years of age, he came into my office. He sat right in front of me. He had a funny pain. He was very, very unhappy. He'd come home 2 or 3 nights a week with migraine headaches. He didn't have any health problems that we knew of, but at 47 years of age, he died right in front of me of an aortic aneurysm. I had 2 beautiful little boys, 9 and 13. I had 3 companies. I had 17 employees. And I had tremendous guilt that I didn't try to help him. I did try to help him, but he worked for his dad. It was a tough thing. So my mission became, he's gone, I can't save him, but how many others can I save to never get to the point that he did? And so I wrote my first book. The first line in the book is, my husband died of a broken heart, because an aortic aneurysm is when your heart essentially pulls apart. And the book's helped a lot of people. It's about not just finding a job, it's about finding a life and how you get into alignment with who you are and become your best self. So there certainly are people here in this room that I would love to put on my podcast show and maybe write articles about what you all do too. But the other thing that I think is so amazing that so many people have spoken to today is about how happiness and being happy with who we are or not happy with who we are, can really affect so many things in our life. And Harvard University just decided to offer a class to their MBA students called Happiness and Leadership. So we know, I think, if Harvard University is offering this class, there has to be some correlation between our mindset, our happiness, our health, our well-being, our careers, our family. And they say that there's 4 areas. You know, happiness isn't just something that comes to us. There's 4 areas that can make us happier in our lives. And those are these: family, friends, meaningful work, faith, and life philosophy. And I think Andrea having this platform for all of us to share with each other is so necessary right now and helpful to all of us, because I also think the more we can help each other, the more we help ourselves. It's all about working together, making ourselves our best selves, but more importantly, what can we do to help somebody else? And you know, a quote that Aristotle is famous for that really resonates with me is, "It's during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light." And I think with everything that's gone on the last 3 years, the pandemic, the people that have died, now our global crisis in Ukraine, and as an executive recruiter, you know, I'm dealing with clients that are related to that Ukrainian plants. You know, they work in companies that have relationships with that area, and they can't get product now. And they're just reminding me of what Jim said. They're just letting these people go like this. No severance, no warning, boom, you know, families, bills. Anyway, so I think that my message today is, how can we all continue to help each other in these challenging times? Because, you know, what I do in my books, I have 2 books. Like Revolutionary Recruiting is my first book. My second book is Revolutionary Reinvention. Came out in December 2020. It's about my 5-step method. I have a trademark on called the Faremouth method. How do you transfer skills? Because with all these people that have been laid off, in some areas, there isn't a job for what they've done for 20 years. But my second book does is go through, it's like an assessment test. How can we take these skills you have and transfer them into something else so that you can gain meaningful employment? So I am honored to be here today. I have learned so much. I have been so touched by all of your stories. I love the music. I really could resonate with Jim's story, you know, Daphne's story, Tim's story. And I just think that my message today is about, you know, during these times, maybe the darkness is going to force us to see more of the light in each other, to help each other, and for all of us to work together to make this place, you know, this world a better place, because there's a lot of sadness, a lot of sorrow. But I think what I've heard today is telling me that I'm so grateful to be aligned with these people that are doing something, that are making a difference. And Andrea, I've always thought the world of her. She's got a heart of gold. She's so caring, and you know, in life, it's not just about, you know, what's your title or what's your achievement, or, you know, making the biggest money. Not that I'm saying we need to all become, you know, employees of the Department of Social Services, but it's more about, you know, how as human beings can we help each other to become the best self and grow? And I think that's what we're all doing that here today. So I'm so grateful that I've shared my story. I know we're a little bit over, so I'll leave it at that. But thank you, Andrea, for allowing me to be a part of this great platform. And I certainly hope that going forward, you know, I can do whatever I can to help everyone in this meeting today grow and expand, and we can all help each other going forward. Thank you.
Wow, Mary Ann, thank you so much. You know, I unless speakers mention when they want to speak, I just kind of let my intuition guide me on where they should be placed. And you were meant to truly speak last. And amazing, because it was amazing ending to this beautiful, powerful rally. I am touched by you all. Thank you so much. I know we've been a little over. If you are able to stay, and I want to open up the floor to anyone that has comments or questions for Jim or Mary Ann. I think David, is David still here? David, did you have a comment or question for Jim? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's just a great thing. I think the theme that's coming through here is happiness. I'd just like to say to Jim, I mean, you know, hearing your story was a real lesson in resilience. You know, that's what really resonated for me is resilience. You just like, you know what? I'm not gonna take this. I'm gonna keep building up. And as I was saying previously, speaking about, you know, things make you better or they make you bitter. And you know, you're a real example of that. You know, I'm really behind the happiness movement. You know, I just think it's amazing. You know, there's joy in the world. Well, I think it's so much easier, you know, to be joyful and be happy than to be you know, to be negative. And that's from somebody who is a self-confessed grumpy goat. So you know, I just really want to say that, you know, I've enjoyed all the speakers today, and I've, you know, really, and you're right, going last, you know, the power was there. I think you put a nice little bow on it. Again, spoke on happiness, and you know, my heart is grateful to all of you for lighting up my day. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Always a pleasure to have you on. Let's see, for any questions or comments for Jim or Mary Ann. I think, Steffan, you had your hand, and then Bill.
No, it's fine. Peter, why don't you go first? Because I think you had something that you had to get to.
Peter, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, listen, it's all good. But I'll quickly jump and just say, Marianne, I super overwhelmed to hear your story.
Thank you.
Just.
We need to connect, sweetie. We need to connect because it was no coincidence. There's no coincidences in life. For you to be on here today and saying what you did, and then me coming after that, I think it just substantiates, you know, how much our stresses and our unhappiness can affect our life, and whatever we can do to help each other stay on a positive road or not have all those stresses, you know, because I know, you know, if he would have been in the right job, I think, and he wouldn't have been so unhappy. I mean, he was a beautiful man, an Eagle Scout, degree from A&M, engineer. I mean, my little boys, you know, God bless them. You know, he was coach on their baseball teams. They were 9 and 13 when he died, and they're very successful now. But, you know, how much better would it have been if he would have known about, you know, or gotten into something that wouldn't have allowed him to. I mean, things happen, but your story is just resonates with me, and whatever I can do to help you on your journey, I want you to know that I want to do that because I know my husband would want me to do that too.
That's beautiful. I got chills. Steffan?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to expand just for a second on the fact of what Jim and Marianne both do in the line of helping others with work and stuff. You know, we spend so much of our lives working. It's just a fact of life. I mean, we have to earn income, we have to do a lot of things, but you know, you have to find that the word balance is overused in my opinion in a lot of ways, but you have to find what's right for you. Balance is so thrown around that it's not always about balance. Things can seem balanced, but they're not. When I was at the New York Times for years, I've never shared this story, you know, publicly because I just don't air these types of things on public forums because it's not necessary. But when I'm in groups like this, sometimes I do share. I was in a job for years at the New York Times. I loved my job. I loved editing photos and this and that. But out of the run I had there, a couple, there were many great people, but a couple of the bosses there were so petty and so horrible. And that's just a fact of life in a lot of companies. So, but what David and, you know, David, you in particular, what you're, not David, I'm so sorry, Jim, what you are doing in particular, you know, thank you for what you're doing for so many people there and other places, and your global, you know, desire and fight to make sure that people are better off at work and in their lives that way, because a lot of people just don't have the ability to jump out of a job and grab something else, and they could end up homeless, they could end up many things. So the fact is, they stay there, and what happens when they're there? They're abused mentally, many other things, and it just eats away at them, and everything. So what you've done by turning your experience, your trauma and everything that you went through as a kid and many other things, I'm so sorry for that, but your strength has shined through in helping so many now. Because I still, from many years ago, from what I went through, we all can carry a certain amount of stuff with us. But the one thing I promised myself is that I would never put myself in an environment where I'm not happy doing what I'm doing ever again, ever. I don't care what is happening. I will work 50 jobs as opposed to staying one job that's going to make me miserable. You know?
Yeah. Now, one thing, after 25 years, I went to my dad to visit him, and now I'm grateful. People don't understand or believe it, but I'm grateful what he did, because he made me how I am now. And for me, every beating was worth it. So because I will help so many people with the beatings I got, that I'm just grateful, and I forgive him. And that is the main thing, to find inner peace. Is like to forget and to have compassion with. How can you do that as a doctor to a child of 6 years old, and keep doing it?
Well,
So, but
thank you
yeah.
for what you do. I know.
Wow. Thank you, Steffan and Jim. Bill.
Incredible, everyone today. This has just been incredible. But Jim and Marianne, I just wanted to say, Jim, I love business. And when you went down the road of what they told you the first day of your new job, I'm sure I would have walked out. I always, again, I love the dynamics. I love everything about business except this mentality of cutthroat competition. And we just, firing someone was always the most dreadful thing. Because I would think about the impact, and nothing to the extent of 27 people. That would have killed me. Okay, that's why I would have walked out. And so where you have, and I'm getting ready to post this in the chat, but so many people here, I think, and I shared it in the last session, but there's this concept of post-traumatic growth that I think so many of you are living, have experienced. You've taken tragedy and said, how do I, I'm bound and determined, come hell or high water, I'm making a different impact. And I've had some of those thoughts where I've had bosses where I've said, I'm learning how not to be. And in my leadership, always saying we can lead in a gentler, more kinder way. And by the way, get phenomenal success in the long run. So thank you for what you're doing and how you transitioned with such difficult background. And Marianne, your story, I mean, and Peter, I think of the stress, and everybody has, as Peter said, I think it was Peter, we don't know what someone else is going through. I live with that and hold it close. And I always tell my wife, if you hear me judge somebody, just hit me upside the head, because somehow I just lost myself, because it doesn't do any good. It's not good for me. It's not good for anyone else. So thank you. And again, what you're doing to help others and try to reduce, we don't need the stress that's out there. in the business world and in any of the world. I mean, people on the, I always said, and I'm sorry to run on here a bit, when I was in Cleveland, I worked with a guy who, I mean, he was in the basketball operations, and he made, by my standards, incredible money. And he left, and they said, "You can't be leaving." He says, "I'm leaving." They go, "Where are you going?" I'm going to go figure it out. And they said, "No, nobody does that." He goes, "Well, I'm doing it." And he sent an email, and I was one of the select ones on the email because we work closely together. And he said, "We need to take what we do seriously." And I believe this, okay? But we don't take ourselves seriously. And let's understand, in the role he was in and my world in accounting, we're not curing cancer. So let's get over ourselves. And I live my life that way. We don't need to be so hard. Thank you all.
That is so true. Oh my God, that is so true what Bill said. It's like, it's so damn, wow. Some of these people think they're curing cancer, and they think what they're doing with some of these businesses and everything else. Get over yourselves. I mean, the number one fact is make those that you work with, make their lives better. They'll make your lives better. Trust me, if you take care of people, they'll take care of you. You know, it's just amazing. It's so true.
Well, I have a wonderful story that's going to end this on a positive
okay.
note.
I thought you were saying bye.
No. Can I? No, I want to say, I think I want to end this on a positive note. And what he was saying, I have a client. It's a Japanese client. I worked with them for 23 years. I had placed somebody with them. He'd been there 17 years. And he came to me, and this is all about authenticity, being true to yourself, and doing the best for the higher good. He came to me, he was making a lot of money. He said, "Marianne, get me the heck out of here." He didn't say heck. I said, "Why?" He said, "They just brought a millennial here from Japan to be my boss, and I don't like him." I said, "Are you crazy? You got 2 years to retire. You're making all this money. The market's down. Did you try to go to lunch? No. Did you try to play golf? No. If you're not going to help me, I'm going to go to your competitor." I said, "You go to my competitor, because I'm telling you the best thing to do for you." He went to my competitor. My competitor sent him on the 2 most horrible jobs because they weren't concerned about the best thing for him. They were looking at the fee. $50,000 less than he was making. So he went home to his wife. He said, "You know what? Marianne told me the truth. I'm going to go play golf with that guy. I'm going to go take that guy to lunch." A week later, I'm at HEB, and I see his wife because I have Christmas parties every year. Marianne, thank you so much for telling my husband the truth. Because he just got promoted. He's going to Dubai for a year. By the way, my best friend's husband is ex-Fox News, ex-Bloomberg. He has a nationally syndicated show. Will you meet him? Because I told him how much integrity you have. I said, "Sure, I'll meet him." Long story short, I am now a weekly writer for his show and a monthly podcaster. And the moral of the story is, I'm not trying to blow my horn, but the moral of the story is what this is all about, this organization here. When we are into the higher good, doing the best we can for the greater good, not just about monetarily getting rewarded, the universe rewards us.
Well said, Marianne. Beautiful, beautiful way to end this.